Bonus video 4. It's not enough to have all your RAW files and edit them in Adobe Camera Raw. Let's be clear. I shoot in RAW. Friends don't let friends shoot JPEG. I shoot in RAW to get a whole lot of crayons. And I edit in Adobe Camera Raw to keep all those crayons. But if there was a coloring contest and you could only choose, 8 crayons, you would be so much better off if you could pick the 8 crayons out of a batch of thousands in order to draw a winning picture. Right? You wouldn't want somebody to throw to you 8 crayons that maybe don't have any value for this particular image you're drawing. When you shoot in RAW, even if you're going to save out as a JPEG, ultimately you get a much better, higher quality JPEG than you ever would have received if you just shot a JPEG. Because when you shoot JPEG, the JPEG chooses the colors that you're going to use in that image. They're always the same box of crayons. Often not enough in any one particular direction of greens or shadows or blue nuanced skies. Things like that. And so when we capture RAW, we edit RAW, even when we export as JPEGs, we get the best set of crayons for even an exported JPEG. There are several ways to export. After you've edited files in Adobe Camera Raw, there are several ways to export those files as file types that your customers can use, that Facebook desires, that Instagram requires, or Twitter wants. There are so many ways to do it if you're utilizing Lightroom, Photoshop, or Bridge. But if you're in Adobe Camera Raw, there's really only one way to export. I'm going to show that to you in this bonus video. Now, if you're interested in the other ways to export, go check out my Bridge course. Go check out my Photoshop course. There are at least 5 ways to export or for otherwise publish your edited images. But here in Adobe Camera Raw, I can do it one at a time, or, and I'll show you the or multiple images. Let's go to my portfolio, let's just say, and grab 1 through whatever. I'm grabbing a bunch of images, just a bunch of images. And I want to Command R or Control R, open them in Adobe Camera Raw. This is how we export or save as, another file type. I just said select a bunch of images, Command or Control R, and I'm seeing their thumbnails. Once you get into Adobe Camera Raw with all those thumbnails, you'll want to select all the thumbnails. Again, I do that with Command A, or actually it's Control A on the PC. Now all those thumbnails are selected. And let me show you the difference. We just did it. But if only one thumbnail is selected, you'll only see the white outline or colored outline around one of the thumbnails. The others don't have that. Command or Control A. They all do. I'm now ready for saving. Command S on the Mac, Control S on the PC, save. This is it. This is how you export from Adobe Camera Raw. Now, it says preset. Whatever you're changing, I'm going to work you through this, but whatever you change in this dialog, just know that like the workflow options we did earlier, I remember barely, we could sneak up to the top and save it as a new preset. Make a lot of changes in this configuration, go right back up and save it with a name that you'll recognize. Now, I've done that multiple times. You can see. Here's one that's called less than 2048. Here's one that's 2 megabyte JPEGs, 3,000 pixels under 1 megabyte. Adobe stock photos not to exceed 45 megabytes. You get the idea. Facebook at highest quality. Instagram portraits. I honestly don't remember all of these configurations, so I just want to go pick one and let it fill out the form for me. The first time, you do it. Let's take a peek. The preset will not exist yet. It will be brand new. It won't have a name. Destination, where would you like to save the exported copies? It will not affect your original babies, right? It only saves copies as these particular file types. Where do you want to save the copies? In the same folder as the originals? Or in a new location? Again, everything I'm changing right now will be a part of my final saved preset. Save in the new location. Where, it asks, I'm going to go up to my desktop. Please save it on my desktop. I'm there. Select my desktop. That is a part of my ultimately saved preset. How do you want me to rename your files? Don't. That's what this says. Document name means don't rename my files. Whatever my document name is, keep it. Or you can rename it. Wow. Lots of choices. You'll figure those out as you read. I'm just going to leave it as is. However, I do want you to add the file extension JPG. Gee, I wonder what file type it will save. That's a JPEG, of course. DNG is a universal raw file type. DNG stands for the digital negative. Digital negative. DNG, digital negative. TIFF, Photoshop document. Ping, PNG. Now you'll notice some of these are caps and some are lowercase. It used to matter, right? On a Windows platform, it used to matter. You'll find it doesn't quite matter anymore. Upper or lower, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to pick JPEG for Instagram or Facebook. There it is. And when I do that, it looks like it's auto-filled the format. If I pick DNG, it auto-fills the next line, the format. I'm going to sneak back up. JPEG, lower, it automatically fills the format. Now this is important. When you save a JPEG, in order to keep it quite small, it throws away all the metadata in that file. You'll lose your camera data. You'll lose GPS data. Whatever it is that you wanted to keep. You may lose your copyright data that's embedded in the metadata, the stuff about your stuff. Not the photo itself, but all that invisible text in the data itself can be wiped out. So watch and read this carefully, right? Did you want to keep your metadata? All of it or no? Just my copyright. You get to pick. You get to pick. It's completely up to you. I'll make no judgment. Quality. The maximum quality value you would think would be between 1 and 10. For some reason, on a JPEG, it goes up to 12. 12 is the max. If I try to type a larger number than 12, it would beep at me and say, sorry, buddy, 12's it. You get 12. So if I want maximum quality on my JPEG, it comes at a slightly higher hard drive cost or file size. I could put 12. Your call. You have some choices, some ranges. But for now, I'm going to leave mine at top quality. Some of you will enter a photo contest. And the rules of the photo contest will say if you're going to enter a photo in our contest, your files cannot be larger than 1 megabyte or 1024K. Oh, well then click this button. I know it makes no sense, but 1024K is 1 megabyte. It's not 1,000. That's some geek rounding off. 1024K is 1 megabyte. You could limit the file size. Notice that when I did that, it said, well, then quality bets are off, dude. Don't limit the file size. I've got the option. Your call. When you send images to the great Brian Peterson, he may say, hey, dudes, try to keep your files less than 2 megabytes. Click it. 2048. I'm going to save this preset as export for Brian Peterson. Now you know. Color space. You and I were very cautious when we set this file up off our camera to choose the Adobe RGB color space. When it exports, it could trash that and turn it back into sRGB. I'm going to say don't do that. By the way, I don't need to worry about all these other color spaces, thank goodness. I'm just saying keep it in Adobe RGB. JPEGs are always only 8 bits. There is no other choice. Let's stop. 8 bits, 16 bits, 24 bits. Makes me want to stand up and holler. What is it? A pixel has a certain width and height. It's a pixel. But how many different colors could that pixel be? That is bit depth. How many different colors could any individual pixel be? It could be one of 16,777,000 colors. It could be almost 17 million colors. That's a JPEG's bit depth. I got to that value, 16,777,000, by taking 8 bits per channel, red, green, and blue. You don't have to know this, but I've mentioned bits a couple of times without explaining what it is. Computers are switches. They're on or off. Binary, data, on or off. Listen, you don't have to absorb this, but it'll help you. It's an on or an off switch. It can be on or off. How many choices is that? 2, on or off. That's binary. It's on or off. 8 bits is 8 switches that can either be on or off. And here's how you calculate how many numbers the math is. It's 2 possible states, on or off. 2 times how many switches? Or I'm going to say 8 bits, 8 switch. Here we go. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. Times 2, 64. Times 2, 128. 256. You hear that value a lot. 8-bit color is 256 crayons per channel. 256. But I have 3 channels. So imagine that red, green, and blue are dimmer switches with 256 little click marks. Then you have to do this. 256 times 256 times 256. And if you do that math, you get 16,777,000 possible crayons in a JPEG. 12-bit is 69, not million, 69 billion. And 14-bit RAW is 4.3 trillion. That's a whole lot of crayons. And as I've edited, I've chosen my favorite, you don't know you're doing this, but you are, my favorite 16.7 million colors. The best out of the 4.3 trillion, the very best 16.7 million colors for this JPEG. It's going to be a great JPEG. That was very geeky. Why they use the word bits, I don't know. 8 bits. That's a lot of color. But it's not as much color as camera raw could be. I'm going to keep going. Why is there no choice? Because JPEGs don't have a choice. They stop at 8. You can't get any more crayons. You can pick the very best crayons you want in that box, but you can't have more than 16.7 million. I'm going to keep reading. Image size. Resize it to fit. Now, if I'm going to send this to Facebook or Instagram, I'm going to say be as big as 2400 pixels at its tallest or at its widest. In the business, this is called 2400 by fall. Hit the first value, whatever's the largest, width or height, and then whatever the other number turns out to be, whatever it falls to, proportionally do it. So I'm telling you, this is not going to generate a square. It's going to do either the width or the height, whatever it hits first, at 2400, and then the rest, the other value, is going to just fall as it falls. Resolution won't matter. It's going to be pixel based. Resolution, while that's on there, won't matter in this case, you'll find. It would if I were saving a Photoshop file. Here's another opportunity for that output sharpening. We saw that in workflow options earlier. Oh, well, I'm going to Instagram, so I'm going to sharpen for my screen. And I can pick. Your call. I've built it. I've set it up. Let me save the preset. Just so you know I made it just for you, I'm going to call it ACR preset. That's it. Okay. I now have one called ACR preset, but I could go pick any other anytime I wanted to. Okay? Now remember, I did that. Let's go back to ACR preset. I did that with all of these thumbnails selected. Now, in my future, it just looks like this. In real time, it looks like this. You saw me set one up. In real time, it looks like this. I'm going to cancel. I've selected my images. From 1 down to whatever, I do Command R to open it in Camera Raw. I Command A to select all. I Command S to save. What did I do? R, A, S. Rick, you rascal. R-A-S. Raw, all, save. If you're on a PC, it's still R-A-S, but it was Control R, Control A, Control S. Here's the Control S. Choose your weapon and hit save. That's what it looks like in real time. If you look at the bottom left, it's working. Oh, hurry, it's almost gone. It's done. There was a little bar temporarily. If you missed it, rewind and watch it. It's saying, I'm almost there. I'm almost done. Now I can cancel. I don't need to make a change. I just got here to save. No changes. And look out on my desktop. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my exported images. If you'd rather it save into a folder, create a folder. And when you set up your preset, go to your desktop, go to your JPEG folder and tell it to save it inside the folder. Wherever you decide to put these. There they are, ready for uploading to Instagram or Facebook. And that's how you export from Adobe Camera Raw. You pick, you rascal R, Command R. Command A, select all. Command S, save. I'm done. All right, that was bonus video number 4. Bonus video 5 coming right up.